Hello, my fellow sickos of any and all genders, TW here, and welcome to me rambling incoherently about Final Fantasy IX! The main reason I'm talking about 9 is because all over the internet you see Final Fantasy 7 and 6 takes all the time. 6, 7, 6, 7. People just won't shut up about 6 and 7. Just a note, I am playing this off of my PlayStation 5, however I have played the original PS1 version many times over and I can tell you, this version is so much better. Alright, enough rambling, let's get to the, scripted rambling. The first thing that comes to mind when thinking about Final Fantasy IX is the amazing cast of characters and the journey they embark on as they search for meaning in their lives. There are 3 in particular whom, to me, serve as the protagonists: Zidane, Garnet, and Vivi, and they all have striking similarities. Neither can remember their parents or where they came from, and as previously stated, they're just trying to find purpose in the world of Gaia. Over the course of the game, they discover the answers, and oh boy, they're not pretty. Vivi was created by Garnet's mother, Queen Braun of Alexandria, as an instrument of war, a literal puppet to be commanded. Garnet was actually born on another continent to a tribe of people who can summon super powerful beings known as Eidolons, but they were all wiped out of existence by our villain, whom we'll get to soon enough. Anyways, Garnet's biological mother makes it to Alexandria before dying, where Queen Braun adopts the child as her own. As for Zidane, he's from a planet in another dimension known as Terra and was created by the antagonist, Garland, as a genocidal puppet to take over for his more powerful brother, Kuja. The reason Garland wanted Zidane to go all Netanyahu on Gaia was so that Garland could use the being known as the Yifa tree to trap the souls of the planet and keep them for himself and put them into the bodies of Terrans. This is because the planet of Terra is dying, and this was their big solution to save it. Big problem though, Zidane got amnesia shortly after arriving on Gaia, and thus Kuja brought about destruction by corrupting Queen Braun and filling her mind with illusions of grandeur. The result is one city getting genocided with few survivors, and the neighboring one absolutely obliterated. Playing these sections in 2026 certainly feels more raw and disturbing than previous years, I have to say. That's not the end of the massacre, however, as Braun also uses an Eidolon to destroy an entire section of the metropolis Lindblum, and yes, this district is gone for the rest of the game, never to return. On top of that, one can only assume that most of the people who call that area home are now dead. I mean, we never see them again, so I'd say that's a pretty safe bet. And Braun does this so she can occupy the city because once again, the greed has consumed her. But the queen eventually gets hers as she quickly turns against Kuja due to not wanting to share any of that power with him, but this was all according to Cake, and for our silver-haired pretty boy, it was one most delicious. You see, Kuja has control of an airship known as the Invincible and uses it to capture and control Eidolons, and with it, he brings the end to Braun's life. Braun is at least able to come to her senses for her final moments alive with Garnet. Kuja then attempts to capture the Eidolon of Alexandria, Alexander, but Garland's all, stop having fun and just raise some hell for fuck's sake. So he takes control of the Invincible and just wreaks havoc all over the city. Thankfully, Alexandria is still in a functional state, but I'm certain the death toll was far from tiny. Obviously, the game ends with the party going to Terra and whooping some ass, but there's some twists along the way. Namely, we don't even get to be the ones to bring the death blow to Garland. It's Kuja after activating his transform, which is basically 9's version of 7's limit break. Kuja then destroys Terra. Why? Because Garland reveals to Kuja that Kuja's lifespan was purposely created to be really short due to how powerful he is. Man, some parents can be massive dick weasels. That is one of the main themes of this game, right? At least the gang were able to evacuate the locals who are emotionless puppets known as genomes. They take said gnomes to Black Mage Village, a place full of people like Vivi who gained consciousness and decided, hey, all of this senseless violence it's kinda senseless, and thus they left to create their own home. After that, the protags head into a portal and into yet another dimension, whoop Kuja's ass, and then they fight what I can only imagine is the biblically accurate Angel of Death and clap his cheeks too. Then Zidane's Paragon instincts kick in once Kuja reveals he's still alive, so he stays behind with Kuja during his final moments. Following that is a really nice denouement, showcasing what every character has been up to, even revealing that Vivi had kids during his short lifespan before unfortunately passing away. Zidane, however, has not been seen since Gaia was saved, and Garnet feels his lack of presence the most due to the two's blossoming romance during the game's duration. And can I say how much I enjoyed seeing Zidane mature throughout the game's narrative? He starts out as this typical womanizer who only likes Garnet because, oh, pretty lady. But as the two travel the world together, they gain a genuine affection for one another. I also love Garnet's guard Adalbert Steiner's role as the dad who does not approve of his princess being in love with some common tongue street ruffian. However, as he travels alongside Zidane, Steiner learns to see the good in him, and all of this concludes with the ending cinematic of Zidane revealing that he survived, and Garnet's reaction is just so perfect. Everything about this final cutscene, from the animation to the way the camera acts just as anxious as Garnet does, to the way that she leaps into Zidane's arms before hugging and punching him, it's all just so fucking perfect, and it gets me in the feels every time I watch it. But Final Fantasy IX isn't just some cutscene fest, although it might have the most out of the 3 PS1 entries, it's an interactive experience. The combat is pretty much what you'd expect out of a PS1 Final Fantasy game, what with the characters attacking once their ATB gauge fills up, but there are some differences. For one, each character has a very strictly defined class. We got Rogue, White Mage, Black Mage, Paladin, etc. And unlike in other games, there's no switching them around, so if you don't like that Zidane is a rogue, then I don't know what to tell you other than too bad, I guess? Another unique thing is that each piece of equipment grants abilities to characters, and after grinding enough ability points, you get to keep them without needing the equipment. One thing I'm not the biggest fan of is that bosses now only grant AP and no experience points, and sometimes they don't even give you AP! This means that if you want to gain some levels, you had best fight some Grand Dragons. I know that some people call this cheap, but I already played the PS1 version back in the day, so I can do whatever the hell I want. Even with all the hours of grinding, the final bosses were still a pain in the ass. What also may be a pain in the ass are all the side stuffs in 9, starting with Chocobo Hot and Cold. In this minigame, you'll be visiting a few locations and digging for treasure, and I highly recommend you do the 3x speed multiplier as it speeds up the gameplay and not the clock. Your main goal is to find chocographs, which give you clues to find treasure, and some will give you upgrades to your chocobo, named Choco, which is a fine enough name, but not as cool as the Black Mage's Bobby Corwin! Anyways, the grind for this one is real. Oh, it's so fucking goddamn mother effing fucking real! You'll especially feel it near the end when you're just trying to find that one chocograph that has an upgrade. I just want to climb mountains, Sakaguchi. Is that too much to ask? The most confusing side activity is Tetramaster. When I was a teenager, I was addicted to this side mode, just dueling every person I came across, trying to find every rare card in the game, and even learning the rules if you can believe that. Nowadays, I have forgotten damn near everything about how the rules work, and the game certainly doesn't tell you for reasons that I just don't know. I found guides online, but if I have to look up an external resource just to learn how this functions, nah, no thanks, fuck your couch, I'm out. And I'm all in on the soundtrack, which is right up there with games like Final Fantasy VII, Breath of Fire 3, Mass Effect 1, and Mystical Ninja starring Goemon in terms of all-time favorite soundtracks. Uematsu-san was really on another level during this era. Here are some of my favorite tracks. Just noticed that I still haven't talked about the other party members like Eiko, Amaranth, Freya, and Kina. Freya is a Burmesian, aka a citizen of one of the genocided cities. One of the things that I really liked about Burmesia and the nearby city of Clara is how they draw from Irish culture, which I guess should have been obvious given that her name is Freya and she's searching for her partner, Fratley. This dance is also a dead giveaway. My young teenage self is a fucking moron for not getting this. Eiko is a 6-year-old summoner and the only surviving member of the summoning tribe of Nadane Sari outside of Garnet. Thankfully, Eiko was raised by a group of Mughals. Her main characteristic is having a crush on Zidane, but thankfully he doesn't register it at all, let alone reciprocating it, unlike other Japanese media. This does lead to one of my favorite out-of-pocket moments I've ever seen. Kina is a non-binary being who likes to eat and mostly just serves as comic relief and, well, that's about it. And lastly, we have Amaranth, who's a loner that likes to solve all his problems by fisting them. Wait, he also has cool hair. Can't discount the importance of good hair. A note for any new players watching, do everything you can before entering Terra because afterwards, the Yifatri roots will block access to certain areas. This is due to the developers not having enough space on Disc 4 to fit the entire game plus all the cutscenes they wanted. It's a shame, but devs do have to constantly work within the limitations of technology, especially back in the day. There's also a few weird pop culture references which feel really out of place, but in a good way. I mean, come on, a motherfucking Phantom Menace reference? And it's not in a mocking manner? That's gotta be one of the most 2000s things I can ever think of. And that was Final Fantasy IX, a game that I didn't actually want to finish because, truth be told, I was having way too much fun recording video game footage. It took me about 22 hours to finish the game, and damn if I didn't want it to last just a little bit longer. If that's not a sign of a great experience, then I can't think of one. When I first started talking about video games in late 2010, never did I ever think that I'd be able to do a proper review of an RPG, let alone Final Fantasy IX, so the fact that you're viewing this right now is a bit of an accomplishment on my part. The reason I chose 9 to be the first PS1 Final Fantasy to get the full review treatment is, for one, I've talked about 7 enough with the 2 remakes, and secondly, it just left an impression on me and I hope I was able to convey that here. Looking at the art style, you wouldn't expect it to have such a dark tone, but it does, which isn't to say there isn't levity, because there is, but my goodness, there's war, genocide, fucking planet-side. This game goes dark as fuck. But it goes there to show that no matter how dark times get, you have to keep fighting to find that light at the end of the tunnel, as it could be just one step away. Despite everything these characters went through, they found their own happiness, which I know isn't a guarantee in life, but that's why you have to fight for it even harder. No matter what, never give up, never stop fucking fighting. The moment you do is the moment those heartless bastards win, and I won't be having any of that. Not here! Ooh, I got a bit intense there, I do declare, but I've rambled on long enough. Next time, things should be a bit more lighthearted, hopefully. See you all then.